Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Really excited to have my buddy Cody Hofhine with us here today. We're going to be talking about the importance of focusing on yourself, your own self-development, because that's the foundation that will help you achieve whatever it is you want in life. Professional real estate investors know that it's not really about the real estate. In fact, real estate is just a vehicle to freedom. A group of over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors from across the country meet several times a year at the Investor Fuel Real Estate Mastermind to share ideas on how to strengthen each other's businesses, but also to come together as friends and build more fulfilling lives for all of those around us. On today's show, we're going to continue our conversation of fueling our businesses and fueling our lives. I'm glad you're here. Hey, Cody, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of times when I talk to friends of mine, people that I just am, that I admire, inspired by, like you, it's like, man, I should have hit record 20 minutes ago because we just talked for 20 minutes about a bunch of cool stuff. And then we're like, oh, that could have been the show. But anyway, excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. I'm grateful that you had called me out here to do this, but this is stuff I love to do. So I hope to add some kind of value to your audience today.
Yeah, man. Oh, I know you will. I know you will. So I'm really excited to talk about this idea today of, and I think it's for guys that have been in the business for a while or women. Of course, anybody that's been in the business for a while, you start to realize you start off with like success for you is financial success. It's about making money because a lot of people are hustling to get paid, maybe survival mode for a lot of folks, right? Like, I want to make sure this works. I want to quit my job and do this thing. And folks are all in. But once you've been in the business for a little while, it gets very transactional. And you're like, you know what? There's a lot more to success than just making money. Now, once I get past that and I know my family's safe, my bills are paid, it's like, we start to focus more on like things that we should have been focusing on the whole time: health, relationships, family, like all these things, building a team, like all these things that really are like a bunch of legs of a table. And if any of them fall, the whole thing's a little bit out of balance, right?
That's 100% right. In fact, you're talking about things like, as you said this, I was going back to beginning of entrepreneurship. And I remember it was not what we're going to be talking about today. It was very much what you said. It was very much come home to my wife crying, wondering how we're going to make a mortgage payment. And now my whole survival that day going forward was go get money, go find money, go do deals, go do something that brings in the money, that brings enough money to pay for the bills. And it wasn't focus on some of these other areas we're going to talk about.
Yeah. And that's, you're a member of Investor Fuel. We're going to talk about that. This is the Investor Fuel Mastermind show. But, we focus a lot on that at our events and our meetings. And of course we focus on tactics, but it's like, what are those tactics for? Like, why are we doing this? If we're not improving our lives, the business is just a vehicle that can help us live a better life. But you have to have, you have to do a lot more than just the business side to enjoy this. And the truth is this business can be a grind if you let it. We were talking about that a little bit ago, but grind should be a season, not like a goal. Right. And so you'll get burned out of the grind if all you focus on is the money. There's no doubt about it. But we realize, I think you and I obviously realize that when people are first starting out, which is not really who we're necessarily talking to today, hey, that might be the season you're in. You got to grind and get over that hump. And then you say, okay, these are some things I need to, do better at in my life.
That's right. And in time, everything should be all about progression, right? We're always talking about how we got to progress. I truly do believe this, Mike. I've met some incredible rich people. I know you can think of plenty on your hand where you're like, these guys are extremely rich. They have more money than they know what to do with it. But I've never seen some of the most depressed and unhappy individuals, even though they have more money to do whatever they want to do with it. And they're just depressed. They're not progressing. They're just, yes, they know how to make a lot of money, but there's so many areas they're missing. And I truly believe those that are willing to still stay uncomfortable. It's not saying that you're ever going to get comfortable. I don't think life was ever made to be comfortable, but stay uncomfortable. And being uncomfortable is where you get your most progress or progression is found. But I truly believe it's only when we become better individuals each and every day that we're truly experiencing joy and happiness. It's not joy and happiness is when we obtain this. Joy and happiness is supposed to be felt every single day. And it's directly tied to, did I progress today? If so, you probably experienced some kind of happiness or joy.
Yeah. The problem with the money side is that we move the goal line. Like you never get there. Like you could go from like broke to being a billionaire, but you're like, you know what? I know these guys that have 10 billion, and it literally will never end. Right. And it's not even the money for most people. Most people at that level live well below their means, but it's just this scorecard that takes on a life of its own. And I'm not a billionaire, but I'm doing way better than I ever thought I would. And I kind of always find myself of like, I just want to go next level because it's a game.
Yeah.
But I also realize now, and I'm definitely not perfect, of the importance of like I let my health go, and I've lost like 40 pounds in the past like 90 days or so now, and like and I'm finally coming around to some things that are more important. Like I realize I've made some sacrifices in my life with family or just other things, right? It's just, at least I'm aware of these things and trying to put more focus on it, because if you lose any of those things, like the business doesn't matter, right?
That's right. If I had to be honest, Mike, one of the things that attracted me to Investor Fuel in the first place was the focus that was outside of the money of the business. We learn incredible principles about business. I get to surround myself every quarter with incredible individuals. In fact, one of the members I was there, we sat at a lunch and he just expanded my view. I was thinking like, how cool it'd be to grow a business to 50 million and sell off. And he's like, dude, what about 500 million? And I was like, this guy's a whole new level, right? And this is found right here in Investor Fuel family. Like this is right here in front of me. I get to go to this. But I loved more so, Mike, the stuff that attracted me to this when we were talking about it in the first place was you have this invite. It's not by, hey, I need to find new ways to make more money within this mastermind. It was, hey guys, I'm going down to Cabo and I would love for you guys to bring your spouse or your family and come down to Cabo with us. I'd love for you to go to Vail, Colorado with us and do this. I'm more intrigued about that. And that's the stage I'm in, because money kind of just takes care of itself now. It's at the point where you learn great principles and you learn what to do. And if I took all your money, Mike, yes, it would suck to start over, but I wouldn't doubt that within a short few time, you'd have all that money right back because you have this knowledge that carries with you. And so it's what's outside of that attracted me truly to Investor Fuel. It was not the just money and business, although that is fantastic. I'm attracted that it really is more of a holistic approach of just becoming a better individual.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the things that that you feel you need to have in order to kind of have, I'll kind of call it quote success in life. So obviously the business side we've talked a little bit about, but what are some of the other things that you focus on, would you say, on a daily and weekly basis to stay well-rounded?
So we have a focus just even within our organization. So we have our core values that we work on every single quarter. We have 4 of them and they all start with H. This next quarter, Q3, we're working on the H that's called humble. Humble, the easiest definition I've ever heard of humble was coachable or teachable. And so it's always having this mindset that we don't know everything. In fact, I go back to even Tony Robbins, when that guy came up to him and says, I want to be who you are, Tony, you're amazing. I want to be who you are. And he says, when you get there, you'll be who I was. And I just remember hearing that, always thinking, even Tony Robbins, who was a guy when I was weak mindset, like I looked up to him and said, man, he's got it. He's at the destination. Even that guy has not hit a destination. He's still progressing each and every day because he knows that's ultimately how he succeeds and how he feels more joy in his life. You can't just stay who you are. And so it's this onward commitment. Today, we just had our team meeting with our whole entire team here in Utah and our whole entire team in Dallas, Texas. And we're just sitting there talking like, hey guys, which one of the core values do you want to do this quarter? And everyone came up with of the ones that we have, humble. And we have this new commitment that this quarter, every team activity and things that we do is going to be around being coachable, being teachable, that we don't know everything. There's nothing worse than a know-it-all that doesn't know it all. And we're committing to just still remain humble. And in this ever-going changing market, Mike, we talked about this before. These are some of the 20 minutes I wish we could have recorded. It's shifting. Yep. And if we don't make the pivots and always stay humble and coachable and keep doing the things that we've always done because it's always worked, I think those are the individuals that are going to get sunk in this next market. You're going to have to pivot. You're going to have to be coachable. You're going to have to be humble and learn new ways of doing business. But I believe if you're willing to be humble and coachable, this could be one of the greatest times to be alive in words of business.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? So I was around in the last downturn, and honestly, I was just getting started in the last 2008. And I know a lot of people that were some of the most, respected people in my market, let's say, that had been investors for a long time. And they went on the sidelines and they're like, this doesn't work anymore. The market changed. And now they're coming back. There's some of them that are like, I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. Right. And so I think what's interesting from a business standpoint, we're going to get off on a kind of the focusing on yourself and self-improvement stuff for just a second here, but is that, and I think this could be part of it, it's just people recognizing that there's ebbs and flows in the business. I mean, just like in the regular stock market, there's people that invest and then they sit on the sidelines and they wait for opportunities to come. Honestly, that's the best part when you get your business to a point to where you don't, like, if you're just a wholesaler and you do a couple deals a month, like, you can never stop because the income will stop. Right.
Right.
But if you build up some rentals, you have some other businesses where there's income, you have the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to set out for a couple innings here and see what happens. And I'm going to wait for these opportunities to jump in. And from a business maturity standpoint, I'll say that's one of the things that I love the place where I'm at now. And I try to impart some of that wisdom on people that I know. And people get it from guys like you too, is to, like, it's okay to pull back. I think sometimes it's like social media, especially in this industry, like your ego just drives you to, like, you got to be playing all out all the time or you ain't shit. And then some of those people just disappear because they didn't have the opportunity to say, I'm going to sit out an inning and see what happens here. Right.
Right.
So kind of play the long game. And it takes a lot of pressure off of you, back to the tie into kind of self-interest and self-improvement, is like taking that pressure off of yourself to have to be somebody that you don't want to be because you feel this pressure of social media for you to be, Cody Hofhine. If he can't sit out an inning, like, he's not that kind of guy. But you're like, you know what? It's a smart thing to do from a business standpoint, is to be able to shift gears, recognize what you know and you don't know, and just play the game differently.
Well, with self-development and self-improvement, Mike, I'm telling you, it's one of those things that I've been able to stay true to what I'm focused on and be able to say no. I think self-improvement is much more than just becoming a better leader or better with family, better with friends, better with all these different individuals, all these different categories. I think it's also understanding that to become more, you're going to have to say no to a lot more. I learned really quick a few years back. It's like I had all this money sitting in the bank account, and there was this startup company that was promising the world that is going to be the greatest thing, is going to be the next Amazon. It's like, well, entry level, sign me up. Cause it's like, it's just this arrogance. And it was so dumb. It was such a dumb investment. And I went off the words. I didn't even look at the numbers. I just went off the words, and I went off the feeling of, oh man, this looks great. It's going to be a great opportunity. 6 months later, I lost the whole investment, the whole entire thing. And it was more money than I ever want to tell you. It's awful, but I had an incredible learning experience. That, Cody, just stay your lane, stay focused, be willing to say no. What you're doing is already a great path. You're going to have more money than you know what to do with. Quit doing this, quit jumping lanes, quit jumping ships, just stay focused, say no, and say yes only to the things that take you to the destination you want to get to. And I feel like I needed to go through that, because right after that, what got really sexy was crypto. And I had everyone hitting me up, invest in crypto. And I just had to go back to, like, thank God that he broke me in on this awful investment in a company, because I think I would have doubled, triple, quadruple how much money I lost on this business in crypto, because I'd have been like, oh man, this sounds like hot. It's cool. Everyone's talking about it. In fact, that's one of the funny things. We get on social media now. Like, this is why I have to have a love-hate relationship. There's some power in social media. The hate is all these people that were talking crypto. It sounded so sexy. Now these gurus are life coaches. They don't even talk about crypto. It's like crickets right now. You can't even hear them. And that's what I hate about social media. It's like, just stay your lane, follow your people that feed you on the path to where you're going, and say no to a lot more than what you're saying yes to.
Yep. So on the personal development side, there's a bunch of, we kind of said legs of the table, right? It's your health, your relationship with your family, relationship with friends. In your business side, it's building out your team. There's a lot of things. And I know that you agree with this, is a lot of us have the best of intentions, right? Like, we want certain things. And I found on the business side, it's way easier for us to have quarterly goals or annual goals, have KPIs we're tracking. The whole team is around these KPIs. We're meeting on it weekly at our level 10 meeting or whatever to make sure we're on track. But then we go home, and with family, with friends, with our health and all of these things, there's really no scorecard other than, man, I'm trying to lose some weight, or I'm trying to have a better relationship with my wife or my kids or whatever. but we don't have like KPIs per se.
Yeah.
We don't, and I know that you agree with this, like having some clarity around what it is that you want in the first place, and then making sure you schedule time for the activities, the tasks that will get you to that goal, right? A goal isn't just going to like, I haven't hit it and I do hit it the next day. It's just like everything. It's a series of every day I need to do the thing, the stepping stone that gets me closer to that. You agree with all that, right?
100%. Analogy. If you told me to go build a brick wall, I'd be like, you are hiring the wrong person. But what I can do is I can hyper focus on one thing. So instead of focus on the wall, which would make me just be crazy and out there, I think people focus so much on goals, but they don't focus on what are the things that you need to do to make that goal just take care of itself. In fact, I was just listening to Alan Stein Jr. Guy works with all the NBA players. If you just work on the single thing, so instead of thinking about the wall, like I can get hyper focused and say, hey, if I just set this brick in the right place and then get the next brick and put all my focus on that brick and make sure it's in the right place, and I do that consistent enough, the wall will take care of itself. You won't see the NBA players talk about, hey, we want to win the trophies, the banners, the titles, the championships, the MVPs. That's just a byproduct of they know their 4 KPIs, their 4 things that if they just do this consistently, the banners, the titles, everything will just take care of itself.
Yeah.
And so it's looking in every area. Okay, if I want a great relationship with my wife, what are 4 things I can focus on that if I just stack those bricks consistently, the wall will take care of itself. And that's how I look at it. In fact, I'm so old school. I was telling you before we started the show, I even write these down on paper. And this is my weekly schedule for this week. And I grade myself every Sunday on how did I do. And I have my 3 personal goals that I want to accomplish. And I have my 3 professional goals I want to accomplish. And I have to do it old school. Yes, I have a digital calendar, but that allows me to measure what very few people are measuring. When people are like, oh, I care about my family, show me your calendar and let's see if it proves it. And most people, it's like business meeting, call with this guy, Zoom call, podcast. I'm like, where was the time with your wife and kids? Like you say, your family's the most important thing. Show me on your calendar. And that was my biggest awareness when one of my mentors asked me that. I showed him my calendar and I just sat there like just felt like stupid because I was like, oh yeah, my family's my most important. He's like, show me your calendar. And that's when I was like, punch in the face. You're right.
Yeah. And it's easy to do because, and then, for a lot of us, when you started off, you were working hard on the business for your family, but then it takes on a life of its own. You move the goal lines a few times and next thing you know, you say it's for your family, but it's really not, right? You might be caught up in something else. Could you maybe share a couple of ideas of like, you don't have to share anything personal, but just with your wife or your family, what are some examples of things that people could schedule? I mean, obviously you can schedule a date night or things like that. There's some things that you schedule activities that would get you closer to your goal, for example, of having a better relationship with those people.
Yeah. So you nailed one of them and it's simple. It's just date night every single week. But because we schedule our whole week out on Sunday, we sit down together and we spend about an hour before the kids are even up and we just look at the whole week. We knew that this weekend with the whole entire family and my wife's whole family, we're going to Park City. So we knew date night wasn't going to work because we usually go on Friday night. And so if date night really means something for us, it's like you said, if you don't schedule it, it won't happen. There's a good chance it won't happen. So if you look on the calendar, it's on Wednesday evening. So we're going to be doing this tomorrow night in lieu of Friday night because we know we're out of town with the family, but we still won't sacrifice going on date night. So that's one thing. Every morning we wake up and at 6 o'clock, we just go and to everyone to each their own on what time they wake up. I think you just got to be authentic to yourself. 5 o'clock doesn't do it for me because I crash at 2 and I don't like that. So I do 6 o'clock and we spend the first 30 minutes and we just go walk around the block with our dog and we just do like a brisk walk and we're able to sit there and talk and what's going on for the day. And we just realign ourselves. Like yesterday, the day ended up like this and we're able to just catch up, realign ourselves for 1.5 miles. We do the same walk every day and it allows us just to catch up and just have that moment together over and above date night. So we schedule those things. In fact, like I said, it's every single morning I get to check it off. Did I do my morning walk? And I put a check mark in that. So I schedule everything because if I don't, I tell you, this brain, you're maybe the same way. Most entrepreneurs are kind of just scatterbrained. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
I have to schedule it.
And it's real easy too, to like miss something. You slept a little bit late or whatever. Or your family vacation moves and the date night, somebody say like, let's just not do it this week. Let's skip this week, right? It's real easy to skip. And then, on some level, and I'm not saying I'm not guilty of these things. I'm sharing some of these things from experience, is that if you make it a non-negotiable, you're more likely to hit your goal. And if you find ways to say, we'll skip it this week, not a big deal, then eventually you're going to skip 2 weeks in a row. And next thing you know, you miss something. So for example, I found, and we've been traveling, we just got back from Colorado. I've been traveling a bit and stuff. And I found sometimes I get up and I'm doing an activity and I forgot to do I kind of do this gratitude journal every morning. And I write down 5 things I'm grateful for. And I have missed it I've been doing this for this whole year, every day for the whole year. But I will say after about a month, I missed a day. Then one time I was like, oh my God, I missed like 3 days because I put my journal like in a bag instead of on my dresser or something. I just like slipped my mind for 3 days. And I forced myself to sit down and write instead of 5 a day. I'm like, I'm 3 days behind. I have to write 15 things out, which is hard. And I still did it, but it would have been so easy for me to just say, just skip that, just start over at 5, So anyway, I think one of the things that I've kind of found is if it's important enough to you, and I'm seeing the benefits of doing these journals every day, this gratitude journal every day, that like just force yourself to do it, even if it means you lose sleep. Maybe there's something else you have to skip watching TV that day or whatever, right? It's trade-offs at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, no, and it's commitment. It's hard. It's not easy, Mike. Yeah. Like
none of this is easy.
You're doing right now. It's not easy to do that. It's not easy what I do. I'm not going to profess that, oh my gosh, guys, it's just life is so much better. It is better. I'd be lying if I didn't tell you it wasn't better, but there's a cost. The cost is it's not easy. It is uncomfortable. And we talked about this before we push record. You do not experience joy unless you're progressing, and progression is uncomfortable. It's not comfortable. Right. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be waking up maybe a couple hours if your day doesn't allow you to do it. It is going to be saying no to certain things. Friends calling you and saying, hey, we want to go to dinner, group dinner, and be willing to say no, because this is a non-negotiable. I have to do this. It is finding ways to make it where, okay, I know there's certain things I do during the day. And I steal this from James Clear, Atomic Habits. I brush my teeth religiously 2 times a day, sometimes 3, but most likely 100% of the time, it's guaranteed twice a day, morning and night. And so what I tell myself is, okay, every time I brush my teeth, get down and do 50 push-ups. So I know I'm doing 100 push-ups a day, regardless, because I habit stack. Every time I brush my teeth, because I know it's going to happen, that triggers the thought, get down and do 50 push-ups. And so it's not easy. I have to train myself, and I have to read great books. I have to surround myself with great people. I pay to go to incredible events. You just went to one where Ed Mylett spoke. Ed Mylett, we were just on the same stage together at Manny Koshman's event. Manny's a dear mentor and friend of mine for the commercial space. And we're sitting there talking, and I'm actually listening before we were talking. I'm just sitting there listening to him on the stage. I heard him in 2018 speak in LA. And he was great. I'm telling you, he put me on fire on that time. I was like, oh man, I like this guy. And fast forward, 2022, just a couple weeks ago, I'm sitting there with Manny and Ed Mylett. And Ed Mylett 2 weeks ago, from Ed Mylett 2018 was a stranger compared to who he is now. Meaning he has become someone even more incredible over these past 4 years than when I first met this guy. Wow. It was incredible witnessing what he did and moved me and shake me even at a higher level. And I make sure I put myself in the seat, that I surround myself with individuals that are going to drive my success, that are going to push me to make sure that I'm becoming someone better each and every day.
Yeah. And that's one of the beauties of masterminds too, is it forces you to level up and not necessarily compete with other people, but just when you are around a lot of people with a lot of energy that are doing amazing things, it forces you to level up, right?
Yeah. 100%. He talked about his dad. Did he share about a story with you about his dad being an alcoholic?
Yeah.
And he talked about how Napoleon Hill said something about when you face the temporary pain, you meet on the other side, you meet your other self. Yeah. And I just, ever since then, I've locked and learned into, I have every time you can complain, and people do, oh, why me? Why this? Why that? Or you can look at it and say, this is an opportunity to become someone better. Some of my hardest challenges I've ever faced in life, I think rightfully could knock some people off and say, I'm done. Maybe it's not made in my cards. And I think they played a fate, and it's not meant for me to have money, or it's not meant to me to have a great relationship because my dad didn't have a great relationship, or whatever they want to say to him. Right. I'm just like, no, I just don't buy into fate. What's the perspective behind it? What happened during that time when we had no money? and an individual came to us, and I don't know how he knew, but he'd bring us cookies, and on the bottom of the plate would be a few $100. I remember just sitting there thinking, you know what? When I grow up, I want to be like this individual that's so in tune that when someone's in need, I have this prompting inside me to go over there and bless that guy's life or that gal's life with monetary to help them get through their month. Because that's what this guy did for me, where we didn't have the money to get through it. He would help us get through it. And I wanted to become someone better because of it versus sit there in pity and say, well, I'm not meant to make money, so I'm just going to feed off everyone the rest of my life. No, that was just a temporary time in my life where that guy stepped in. But because of it, I became someone better.
That's powerful, man. It's so easy to just settle for average these days. I mean, because let's be honest, everybody around us is average. Collectively, they're the average, but to level up to a whole nother level, you have to be willing to kind of fight through those temptations to just say, this guy, I have this friend or this neighbor or whatever. It's like, they're nobody special. Yeah. So I can just be like that. Not that you're saying it, but those are the actions you take to just settle. Right. And that's not how you create greatness, by settling for anything.
One of our dear friends, me and my business partner, have a dear mentor that we meet with once a month, Warren Rustan. If you guys don't know him, get to know this guy. This guy's an incredible individual. He, our first hire, this is years ago, 5 years ago, we hire this individual, and like after 2 weeks, we're like, this is awful. This isn't going at all the way we wanted to. And we were talking to our mentor, and he's like, just look in the mirror and see what kind of a leader you are. And if it wasn't for him, I could have said, maybe I'm not meant to scale. Man, scaling's hard. I don't want to do that. I'd just rather go on the appointment myself. Because we were able to look in the mirror and say, okay, you're right. We suck as leaders. We were C leaders. And that's why we attracted a C acquisition manager. And the moment we worked on our leadership, the moment we worked on our commitment to our personal development and become a better individual, what was nice is what was actually, I think is profound is you don't have to look for A talent. A talent's looking for A leaders all the time. Right. If you can just become that individual, you start to attract those players. You don't have to spend a lot of money on Monster or Indeed or any of these hiring apps or hiring sites. You simply attract them because they too are looking for A leaders. So if you want A players, do what it takes to become an A leader and watch what happens. You're going to have people approach you all the time. Hey, can I work for your company? Here's what I do currently with my company. I'm the top 2 salesman in the nation. And I just want to jump over. I like you guys. And I really like to learn more about you guys. And I'm like, what? You can't find that on Indeed.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, Cody, would you mind just sharing a few thoughts? You've been a member of Investor Fuel for a little while now. Would you mind just kind of sharing your experience as a member of Investor Fuel?
Yeah, I have, I enjoy, there's a couple aspects behind it. I love that it pulls me out of my zone here in the office and actually gets me out of this physical location into a different location where I can just escape. My best ideas, my best strategies, my best thoughts for my business happen when I'm not at my business, always, without fail. I don't know if that's the same for you, Mike. My best ideas have never happened in this office. It has always happened when I'm hiking, walking with my family, or I'm at Investor Fuel and Mastermind. Those are my best moments where I gain the most clarity. I think of an action plan and I'm able to come back now and attack it. So I love that it gets me away from here so my brain can actually start thinking and seeing what my next ideas are that I need to act upon. I love the power of, we talked Jim Rohn. This is one of my favorite quotes of all time. I'm probably said it more times than Jim Rohn. And that is, you're the average of the 5 closest individuals you spend the most time with. What does your circle look like? I find my people within Investor Fuel. And so I love this mastermind because I have found my people. I don't have to, yes, I still have people outside of that, but it's all in their own perspective. If I want to go get fitness, I'm going to go get my 5 best over here. 5 business minds, incredible people. I call on a daily basis. We're going down to Lake Powell here in a couple months. I have 2 members from Investor Fuel that are coming down to Lake Powell with us and enjoying that trip with us, because they're not just people that I go to and sit with and talk and then leave. They're actually dear friends of mine now.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
So incredible.
There's no doubt that our group is, you talk about all the travel trips and stuff that we do together. There's no doubt that it's something bigger than a business mastermind. Like we've got an amazing community of people that are kind of doing life together, right? So
100%.
Glad you're a part of it, man.
Well, there's no reason to compete. We talked about competition. You
Yeah.
put together the best room. I don't need to go do that. Like, I'm grateful that you're willing to put your mind together to do that, because I don't have the mindset and the focus right now to do that, the bandwidth to do that. All I got to do is just be part of the group. And so I'm grateful to you for putting that together, because if not, it wouldn't be done, because I don't have the bandwidth, and it's not my focus to put that together, but it is my focus to be part of one.
Yeah. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. So Cody, if folks, you've got a lot of stuff going on. You're really a leader in the industry here. If folks wanted to connect with you somehow and learn more about what you've got going on and what you're working on, where can they go to connect with you?
Definitely reach on Instagram over Facebook. I know Facebook for most people is like their biggest thing. I'm really bad at social media in general, but Instagram, do not hesitate to message me. I love serving your community specifically, but that's the best way to reach out to me. I'm very bad at email. In fact, I have an assistant that manages my email. So in fact, if you ever see an email from Cody Hofhine, I can promise you Cody Hofhine didn't write it. My assistant did, acting as Cody Hofhine. And so, yes, reach out to me on Instagram. Just follow me. It's at Cody Hofhine. And then over and above that, we're doing some fun things, unique things always. You can learn more about what we do. It's just joehomebuyer.com.
Awesome, man. We'll add some links down below in the notes here for anybody that wants to find them. So thanks for sharing some time and wisdom with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, I think for everybody that's listening today, hopefully you got some value. At the end of the day, like, it's real easy, especially if you're getting started or you've been in the business for a while, to get caught up in the hustle, to get caught up in what you think, people on social media want you to be. And what you ultimately need to be is who you want to be, who your family needs you to be, right? So it's real easy to get caught up in that kind of facade of what people think success is. But at the end of the day, some of the people that I respect in this business the most are actually not on social media much at all, if at all. And they have amazing lives, and it's not necessarily the biggest businesses, but they've used that as a vehicle to give them the tools they need to kind of have a well-rounded life, right? It's sending their kids to private schools if that's what they need, or having that whatever health resources they need for their families or whatever, and real estate can provide that, which has been a great provider for us. But don't forget that it's a vehicle to help you build a better life for your family, not to do more deals, right? So awesome, Cody. Hey, thanks again, buddy. Appreciate you today.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Everybody, thanks for joining us today. Hope you got some good value. By the way, if you haven't yet checked out Investor Fuel, our next meeting is actually coming up in just a few weeks here. You go to investorfuel.com and learn more about it. Schedule a call with us. We'd be happy to talk and see if you're a fit, see if we're a fit for you. Go to investorfuel.com to learn more. See you on the next show. Are you an active real estate investor? If so, and you want to latch on to the power of surrounding yourself with over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors, all committed to building stronger businesses and living richer, fuller lives, you should jump on a call with us to learn more about Investor Fuel. Simply visit investorfuel.com to get started.